say na o fio.
Yeah.
The otin 7 be brain na HND me bro brusi.
Yeah.
Yeah, Enra media budget review said a corner on various when it comes to agriculture of kanwasem, your roots or kanwasem, a bano a year Ghanaian economy, education, humesua bibrina anything a course. So let's take a critical look at the 2026 media budget review.
Yo, me da wase. Say me che watie for. Me che woni watie for na utima no mo wa ha. Na me nua na Kwame. Na say enra ne ye party ne nyina itie. Ato Forson by ebe presentation Ghana for nyina etie. Na maskane TV and radio stations. Every enra na bisinne. Me who say Ghana for reaction no positive. If you say Ghana for na ye we amomo. Na also ye hu pa ne say enya MPP for na ye amomo. Enya MPP minority no more parliament na ye amomo. Ghana for na ye amomo. Enti they could even say budget no nyina de eye pa but Ghana for ne on beka no eni hia. Nye ne MPP for no beka eni hia. Because when you make a point say half opposition it will always be opposition. But some de NDC opposition in the 8th Parliament are now to Forson your ranking member for finance. Okay. Now the deputy, thing say Adongo. Na me de to MPP opposition we ho a minority leader Ewura Fenyo ka economist onim ho hwe o. Da be on the onim hwe. Eno nti a ewie ya na okoka wuntumi no. Wo nyuma na omoto nra free wuntumi. Ene yesu so yen free wuntumi de omfa kanofuratam free Abrichimra. Clearly, MPP are lose track. This is not the opposition that we are actually expecting.
Okay.
If you say opposition, at least you must be factual. Or opposition leader, what's them no so no krebom. And no make statement so gold board make losses. It is neither here nor there. Audited accounts by reputable audit firm. Edaho. Nti abankura nyina no na center for ISE for abeyina no na enrade na Ewura to Forson e ka kire yen mamenti baako menua e kan se busiane de yenje bi I mean ato Forson kan say they are calling us, the international market is calling us. Nti we are not in a hurry because yebeye ya admin say ekwaje besia no na a project targeted. Sisi ameno ka say demand Ghana for demand from government pa ne kase no e yakwan. If you say at the center of every economic progress no transportation. And Ghana have a transport system be rely on roads. Yakwan so sanya this in a winning election way 2024 ye form about 2025 enka yakwan nyina benane enka ne nyina besai because from every region ma bia kwan asai enti say MPP for started say IMF call here within days, within 3 weeks, within days yakwaje besia this are besia edahoma Ghana because of the EPC programmer, IMF programmer, it was support that the World Bank and the IMF were given to Ghana, but and this are buying, buy stop here. If you say, your conditions are, it was $500 million, nanka ye genoho, at the whole since 2023 na Ewura, 2024, 2023, 2024 IMF program no.
That's Canada.
Si Canada ho, by yana ye say. Ato Forson say no. President Mama say because you see Sikano move over 50%, about 58% for consultations. For any actual construction na ye de kwa no. Consultations ne consultancy any travel procurement of vehicles and ye this cannot kwa. So now we have to reprofile. Say Ebeji Sikana, Mukai say about 2 months ago, IMF came out say there was money available for Ghana, but Ghana is not taking the money. IMF came out. Reason and they say we have to reprove ourselves. To force any president mama say better here. Ama ye disikano aye the actual construction ni enti aye disikana. Na say mre na twam say yenko akọ safari enko ye consult enko ye program consultancy V8 pickups yenko to no. We have to use them. So now 500 million yeah approve this week in parliament. 99% of them is going to road construction, and those road constructions are farm roads by be free ever market no. To make sure say so in about 6 regions.
Okay.
I identify districts in every region. In some regions there are 3 districts, in some regions there are 5 districts, in some regions there are 15 districts. We are coming to connect their routes. And we will go for the loans, but those loans will be for targeted projects. Sani ebeya omokoji loan edibetwa omonum no. Those days are over.
No kenke party.
No kenke party. And we to forcing the supplementary budget by. But you didn't kind pa say. Sani main budget, annual budget na ye pass for 2026. One for taxes biya meto Ghana Forson no. Budget we so had no taxes on Ghanaians. Taxes no so. What government wants to do with the whiskey ne nyoma na me no boss no. Say a lot, you see, government is supposed to get over 5 billion Ghana cedis from spirits and wines. But enam enyoma ekoso port ho enti ye customs and duties no I was yenya no we get 1 billion instead of 5 billion because most of them echo into the suspense accounts, into the suspense way. And so instead of the direct taxes ebenya customs duties also no ebiko free zones, ebiko warehouses, ebi transit. Pi say aduane a ye ni no Ghana na enye Ghana na yebe dino ebe ko another country no. You don't do excise duties also because those countries must also do the excise duties there. Until you say Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, they don't drink wines and whiskeys and spirits there. But Ghana for na import to Nyoma Ghana no will have a way say they will find a way of categorizing that as say call those countries into Ebeko warehouses in Nyoma because they are in transit. And Atu Forson is bringing a law, a regime, ebe stop those leakages from going. Look, we are also bringing another tenor, electronic, a VAT system. Assuming say quality VAT ma buying. Oma VAT receipt. Now the ama ebia your supplier or the ama consumer now abeje. Abeto ade wo ho. Wo the one no VAT or no the VAT okita receipt no the call. There is no system one. Ebe chira ban say wo sika dodo say na oje ye. Eye wo will wo ne wo pe. E na wo di ko chira ban. Yes, so we have already passed a law in 2019 about electronic transfers. Yebe timi ayusu sa transfer machines no gadgets no. So every VAT approved center will get that gadget. In the moment obe issue receipt ama obino, it reflects our GRA. So GRA knows how much VAT and how. Because now we have reduced the regime. Those times, sometimes ago, now kita we are juma 200,000 Ghana cedis ube to VAT. And I'm saying person free this small scale enterprise na omutiminya sika edifa nipa omu for omunti. Ya pejam from 200,000. I was a juma no amount income a revenue of about 750,000 Ghana cedis and sana yaju VAT. Until now, we have even reduced the number of people yaji VAT no. So Ye taxes bebre COVID, betting tax, taxes na ye free. Bebre
e-levy so.
Ye e-levy, ye COVID, ye betting tax, ye
about 3 taxes.
yes, all these taxes have been, but revenue have increased. And non-oil tax revenue as a percentage of the GDP are increasing from some taxes we in our honor. And it leads credence to the cliche I can say. It is not the number of taxes are able to amount for no so, but efficiency in the tax collection system. And you know, am I who say, young factors and two be also. And your tax say oh ye levy, betting tax, COVID-19 levy, emission levy, VAT on motor insurance, any sanyo money na. But ni you know, tax to GDP, non-tax oil revenue are increasing from 12.6% of GDP to 13.1% of GDP. In fact, the full document ni naman kamebo ohe appendices so a ebe nominal numbers. Taxes on nominal numbers are beka ho. We are just in percentages. Growth you project in 2026 budget no. Ya koye nim ahead of time. Ya pa bebre ho ahead of time. And into share real GDP growth Q1. And it's important, you see, the numbers are critical. Say because numbers no and reflected the real sectors no. For instance, when we say lending rate have reduced from maybe 19% to now 12%. I mean, when you are going to borrow from the bank above for more, entrepreneurs they say me bra or timi chen say okobo besi an bank na nsi ho no 19% a reduce the number of the income obetimi generate. But say e wo femu a he will able to expand and employ more people. Until the numbers that we mentioned, Forson mentioned in budget, they have implications. Real GDP growth. The sectors, GDP no talks about the whole system. Even though GDP doesn't measure what is Ghanaian and what is not Ghanaian, the whole system no be all Ghana have a part of the GDP. The real GDP have improved. I agree that we must start to talk about the gross national product. Reduce our emphasis on GDP because GDP there. So if India no resources or those resources are counted as part of your GDP. But you can't belong to Ghanaians. That will be a better measure than the GDP. But so all the indicators are economic indicators, inflation, GDP growth, lending rates, exchange rates, interest, all of them, we have gone ahead of time. Inflation more than halved. You see, one of the measures inflation. The first things to feel, the transmission mechanism, no, the first one clear for everybody to see inflation. Inflation measure the prices are Look, so market the Bemu station.
Oh, your Tuesday market.
Very good.
Your
Kaneshi market wa ha. So ura Kaneshi market now the nyoma to 2024 ho a. So who could see down now koto iron rods a. Ube say in 2024 the price was higher. In 2025, 2026 above from every indicator, every item obeko hu bia the price na above from because the extent of price increases are na cost no every day abesori bia a peak in 2022 we had 54.1% inflation. In fact at Forson ebe take over now it's around 23%. It reduced to almost 3% at the beginning of the year. Say now I think 5 point something percent. So inflation has reduced. All these indicators say enyoma economy no. But we have that something that we call transmission mechanisms. And that's what my brother was trying to talk about. Say I was reflecting. A lot of them are reflecting, but they reflect gradually. Nti yen debt above from okay ade we kura me ya report of the Committee of Economy and Development on the annual public debt report for 2025. Ade a ema na yentimi nkodwaman so no say MPP omokoji green bond, gold bond, samurai bond. Every bond you use be omokoji. In fact no expert in bond market. The abusia no mo to the sense say it crowded us out of the international bond market because yentimi ntua ka no enti ye pamo ye firi adwaman so ene se ne ye ka se ye firi because ye manage ye public debt no as a percentage of GDP and a public debt na 61% in 2024 no. You see the 61% is not actually 61%. Say enye se ye domestic debt exchange program na nka enye ye debt a se etua no. Because na ya defer a lot of the payments.
Yeah.
It's all that in 2025, in 2026, even in 2027, by yebewura August mu August this year, the last quarter, yebewura August this year, we need to pay
another
bond no biom. And that money has been made available. Ya war chest, ya create the sinking fund NDC 1 create President Mills Mahama create sinking fund to ho sene ye kana ye de no. You see, NDC is always forward looking. You create sinking fund no. Ye dwen say Kofo bond no okoji the first bond Ghana ye koji in 2007. It was for 10 years. Entina ye nim say ebedru 10 years no. E was say create bond futuo bi to ho na ye di akoji. They came and dissipated those funds in the name of COVID. Say yasia create sinking fund ni biom. Me no ka say 10 billion edam. In anticipation say the next year yebetua ka yebetua no, and nobody should underestimate ekano. Look, Sabai to metua $10 billion. 10 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah, 10 billion cedis.
10 billion Ghana cedis. Na yentimi ntua, dey na ase na yetimi tua. Enti ama ye debt no, are sustainable ene we are within the ECOWAS sub-region. How do you say ECOWAS? Ade yentimi nya common currency. I see your friend economy say the convergence criteria was a countries be meeting. No, a lot of countries cannot meet it. And this is the first time Ghana have met this criterion in a very long time. In fact, ECOWAS expect to say you need at least 50%. We have 45% of our debt to GDP. And you meet this criteria. No? And a lot of indicators. It is also a budget to Forson a kind gross international reserves according from na 12.9%. A 5 months of import cover. A chero say international reserves say BBC na obia emma o man no hwe a ebetima hwe ho 5 months. But from the beginning of the year, in fact, people were no. By the end of 2024 no. Na international reserves, it could cover for 3 weeks of import cover. And we have 5 months of import cover.
Yeah, betimi ahwe.
You betimi ahwe ho, you betimi ato fan go bibia, your reserves are you betimi aye. Sinking fund me kan ho asem no. Is it 15.6 billion have been set aside into the sinking fund as at 22nd July. Apart from sika Busiana yet kani nyina no. As at 22nd no, you are setting 15 point I want to be accurate. 15.6 billion. And we are on course say 30 billion also by the end of the year, but at the end of this year, say another 30 billion. As at now, we have 15.6 billion. That is the middle. And to me, I sure say bedru end of the year, no. I was say 30 billion, no. Ebenya sika, yedi betua. Nyame na ye abdom na NDC, Ghana for their konyo. And nka ama we, me sure say, nka democracy ya nka sanka ebe say. If the people will lose confidence in the democracy, I want. I say, when you know, Koswa, Abano Triaka, ye make sure international reserve you accumulate be because Otifie na some Timifa was say to send it. Nana Kufu ne Dr. Bomiama, some fire say, na ye pommy for Jamas you go and massy, or your mampanina, or Massa and your mano toa, not just on your mampani, papa. President Mama saw yes, sir, only to Forson, Edis, I watches you go. Ye pia a car MPP, Bogu Hobby, no. I say a Bobby go. I can't see into ye. Ye Pessica, it be pia, and I can't so go. But and then so dear, they lived near was a yen in Nenso, no, I was a ye. Near was a yen in Nenso, a rigidity be brewum. Adjuma for a catuya you must pay. And 20 minka said, Yaboka go, me to your cadenti, mean to my for catuya. So it's a balancing act, it was so clear and also. Into you beer, Sabi, one not be more dog. Or nim de, our economics no, our economy no. And I to forcing a no. And let the answer Ghana for here quine. I was a quine see ye. Until I say, big push. In almost all the regions, Abaya awarded over 78 routes on contract. In fact, for some of them, Enra or my percentages are beard 30, bimu 13 of them abro 50%. A more do 70-something%. Ekoso or my no. Minya can send back no economy and the bitimi and without stable power, without stable energy sector. And oko central region ho KE area ho ye kwakoye another plant to give us 1,200 megawatt of power. Forward looking. Inuya oye minister for energy nso me bona baso. Jinaponso boy juma to stabilize the power sector. Moka I say dumso say start here if ye bisa area MPP running mate. Or see I enquire a timetable. Yes, I know catch it. Ya enquire a timetable. Very good. And now ti dumso be brebium. Atof area Jinapo have put a pause on it. And to co energy sector, it is also because the more we still have this intermittent and ebe distracted economy na epesi grow no. And the government is taking holistic steps in energy sector no. Go to the agri sector. The Feed Ghana project, the poultry nkete ebi efa cashew production ni cocoa production ho. To the extent say now we are bringing a bill. Enra to Forson Emayasote say we are bringing a bill to Parliament as part of this budget presentation. We are laying a bill in Parliament not for the cocoa sector. We are making it law. Say every government 70% of FOB prices of cocoa prices must go to farmers. So now, and yet discretion of government bill.
So no adene pebeka se me yeni say me.
A law. And that cocoa extension services must be looked at. I know, say when the bills come to Parliament, it will go through all the stages. Now, the abua abusan akuafo. It is offer agri sector, offer energy sector, offer education sector. Send now bobosono. We move most of the schools because you see the difference between a category A school, category B school, category C school, no, the lack of infrastructure. Go look. The training colleges are the same. The universities are the same. So teacher near ordinary beko radio gold. So unko chirade no. Otna classroom with the same teacher. Ordinary beko your sister station. So unko chirade. How come we have differences in output? Because you see, if the input na ebe here teacher for no output, the output cannot come on. Yeah. And if you are a government and you want to bridge the gap between rural and urban, between category A and category B, you have to help those who need infrastructure to come up. It's the reason government is trying to make sure say ye be double track and free. By in doing so, we will upgrade 150 existing schools. In doing so, we are building 10 brand new schools, senior high schools. Sometimes ago in 2015, NDC government, now the World Bank agreement, Secondary Education Improvement Program, SEP, both access, be a access, be a quality. We are going back, and now government is bringing these resources, and quite naively, and I don't even think it is naivety, a mischief. Free SHS na GN17 no, yekobobusia. Since you were having a dress be a minister, president be a president no. What is so musu aduane hoda? What is say aduane no anko feeding fee anko anti free senior no, they cannot be fair. But when MPP was in power, every day they had to demonstrate on feeding grants for free senior high. Into whether it is education that you looked at, or energy, and our health, and I say we, and the mischief, nipa be creative, you know. Say, oh, after Forson, he's not releasing the funds.
Yeah.
Until the stations picked it up. Oh, and then the mischief was brought in. Oh, it's because of NDC. Presidential ambition. And the colleagues now want super presidential ambition, you know, or starful or more.
Or sabotage.
You see, this country, we have lived beyond our means for too long. Indiscipline, financial indiscipline is the bane of this economy, or the bane of this economy. And until the things I know, I to force in mobile social, you know, me take umpa no, no man, odigu akwan mu a stabilize the economy no. One of them is the commitment authorization. And until every ministry, every ministry, every department, every agency, my who say, send the amount for you almost say at Forson is not spending. And then when MPP gets into the chamber and they want to knock people's heads together, and this minister, they are not even giving you money for you to go and do this. Everybody needs commitment authorization, and it's a law you're passing or parliament. Some time ago, SOEs, state-owned enterprises, Omwankasa Timi effort behind the ministry and do their own procurement, do their own things without ministry no be anyawe. Because some of them are even stronger than their parent ministry. Look, Bank of Ghana is under the Ministry of Finance. Say commitment authorization you are and can spend $300 million at a time where you call authority and see Bank of Ghana dying. Samreno, the governor of the Bank of Ghana was even more powerful than even the minister. So he could do anything. Now you can't do it. Every expenditure, even after budget near approval, everything that you want to do, you need commitment authorization. The first stage of commitment authorization, you minister, your own sector minister, agency, sector minister must sign. He must see the commitment authorization and approve it before it gets to the finance minister. Finance minister also better say if there's legitimate cause for it. And then 2, if there is budget for it. 3, if there are resources for it. So you don't start a project, no way project in fin. You say create office say this office where there e be say project you was in bo 10 series no. You hear more 10 series pepe. So these are the things ama ye growth no aduru ba bia aduru no. Ye ka no ye ni bebre because eso bia ntimi nkobo kakwa ene before NDC took over ECG nko aka over 77 billion Ghana cedis. And this way a car Oforata treating say below the line. He didn't even add it to our debt stock. And the when you started EKS 741 billion. Burusa. Now a canon nominally at about 600 and something, which is like 45% of your GDP. Because you see, for the first time in our history, our GDP has exceeded $100 billion. You see, and you see, when we are presenting, a minister is presenting budget, you look at the demeanor of the opposition. They were struck. They were surprised. Now, Ghana for no soon say, Omanu wajo. And Obia nim say last week me call ho. Obia nim say Satu Forson see ye akwan a me call ho me hu say ye akwan no. Me free bon na ba hu say ye bon akwan. Me fa Ashanti region hu say ye Ashanti region akwan. Enra minister say the 170 kilometer Accra Kumasi expressway no. Ye twa kwan no mu clearing ye 122. Na Ghana Armed Forces ye. Na ye di sika ye be hia almost 3 billion. Ye di aye sa expressway no. $3 billion. As we speak now, we have $1.7 billion. Because it's a project that President Mama want to finish before he leaves office.
Also funds are protected until main contract is awarded.
Se minu ya can say 2028 about to no. Enye dia menene ya adwen trodo because you see Ghana for almost pa. Ghana for don't rely on the mischief of Area Fenyo man in the MPP for no. In fact, they don't even understand economics. They don't even understand the economy. Until enye say presidential candidate, he has gone into hiatus when it comes to the economy. They are not the and the Minister for Finance is not scared of engaging the media. And as at 10:30 11, because of this program, I was listening to him after the presentation. He was on Joy. I listened to him. Now, send a million presentation of budget, among opportunity to tell you the extent of rot to MPP bogu ho. Now kotie only at Forson 101. No catch what MPP have done to this economy. The reason why in so far Gary project they use more than half of those monies at conferences home. And this we have to put our handle on it and say no, you can't do this until we profile the thing. And until you know but the conclusion you have to force him Ghana for and say now on himself first 2 years things will be difficult. But Ghana for Abuano, even in difficulty, we've been able to keep a handle on most of the economic indicators. Until a free hairkui, a free salary we he will reduce the primary surplus. I see here from 1.5 to maybe 1.0 and use resources you be free for economic areas are ebe mayen growth. Until the jobs is a critical sector.
Yeah, job creation.
Job creation is a critical. As we speak now, look, I'm a member of the Youth and Sport Committee. We met a youth group. They are into youth financing. They want us to increase finances for youth groups. Look, as we speak now, Ejumara, we budgeted for 170 million Ghana cedis. Over 100 million have been released. And the constituency in the district now, Ejumara Eko Hono, Emrantiane Maye Hono, Enim say Ejumara Sikanaba. Some people get 20,000 to set up their own business. So Ejumara is creating jobs. National Apprenticeship Program is creating jobs. The big push project, yes, ye kwakwan bebre no. Why mona contractors on air for mom ye adwuma. E Ghana for na for mom ye adwuma. The reduction in lending rate, interest rate, omo ye adwuma for entrepreneur etimi bobosia no. Omo bobosia no omo ye omo adwuma na. Why mona omo intro omo fa omo Ghana for. So there is a direct linkage between these numbers ye provide and job. And the transmission may be slow. Transmission from when we may be slow. But trust at Forson. One more indication say next 2027 budget is going to be called new economy. And he made that indication to us. It's going to be a new economy. Where minu suggestion or by say reduce the system now. I mean, amount for and it will come in. But many man say and need a woman say the original sin MPP for committee, say yesika no, unti mobile say akura we yesika. To the say our money became worthless. Now that sin have been erased by President Mama Niera at Forson. And never again must we allow a group of people who will come back and commit original sin. Ghana for so.
honorable enyamre papa akyerɛkyerɛ ensɛm ni mu edifiti eye
chibitam ni na wantuaka
you tuaka so
bia
odidi akanyina honorable yabeda wase papa unse na e wase yedi omu ane abam ne abisa asemba akomienu bi na honorable atoaso enti eye media budget review no ensɛm ewo mu no ɛna eye honorable Adama Sulemana oye mrahye ne adehye womo ewo Tain constituency wonya botre adosodoso mu ayini mako mi giri se sabra mi ka se de wonya wo ho ntiase papa enka ne bia na ade na ayonworan ewo som ohu ba bia ye kɔ ohu ba bia ye ba me sure say by this time de wo ye beda honorable ase honorable
MPP for the yenti so dogo bi
sa mo still empty promises
empty
edi ye beda honorable ase answer